What's cracking? I'm Nick Danger. You're now tuned into the Art of MV. Welcome to my channel, and thanks for watching the video. Like the channel, man. Hit that thumbs up on the way in. Subscribe to the channel, and do me a big favor and leave it all in the comment section for me. We're gonna do I got a couple of corrections to make. This is an amendment video. So it's actually part 2.5 of the Understanding the Roland sequencer series, but also gonna slide some sample things in here because I really want to make a video about the sample, and I'm gonna start my Sample Me Sunday, so that's something we're going to get into, man. So other than that, a couple of announcements and then we're out here, man. Anyway, let's get it cracking. So, shout out to my guy Baker Man for putting me up on my mistake. It's twofold. One's an edit mistake, and then the other is basically just me putting the wrong footage in there and talking about the wrong footage. So I was expounding on the sequencer and the environment that you use in the MV8000 in particular. And I kept putting I kept saying audio phrase when what I meant was pattern track. So here's the vid. So anytime you saw this screen in my last video, I kept saying audio phrase. What I meant was pattern track, right? So I actually had another edit, but I deleted that on an accident. So this one wound up in the video in a rush. But what I was explaining is the overall sequencing environment of the MV8000 8800 after the 3.0 upgrade for the 8000 and the first edition from when the 8800 came out. The 8800 actually had a new button on the hardware for pattern mode. In the 8000, you'd have to access that same pattern mode by accessing it via the VGA in the corner. There was a button you could hit and they will put you in a pattern mode, but they had a dedicated button on the MV8800. And within the linear mode, you have a pattern track. So the pattern mode on the MV was designed to be an MPC like environment within your linear sequencer. You have an MPC style pattern sequencer, and that's the way it works. You can just, it was like, I think it's song sequence mode on the older MPs. Anyway, it was the way you chain together your different sequences to make songs in the MPC. They adopted it as pattern mode in the MV8000, and this is what made the MV8000 8800 so much different than any other Roland sequencer. That means their workstations, like their Phantoms. Yes, the Phantom had the same green screen that I'm looking at here now. It's the same one that's basically on my Roland Phantom X Alphabet. It is just like this. It looks just like the screen up there, but this one has so much more going on that I actually exposed in the video. You saw the drum grid or the piano roll, and such, and then the different templates. So this thing has a lot going on with sequencer, and that is what this video here is explaining. Now, the hard drive is not, when I was mentioning the hard drive as part of the sequencing environment, I didn't mean that you saved the audio files that were on the hard drive straight to the hard disk from that mode, from sequencing, and bypass the RAM. When you're in mixdown mode, anything coming on those inputs, any signal coming in there is being recorded bypassing the RAM. You're not using that. You're using that's going straight to an audio file. That's not going in a sequence. So it's not in the project RAM that you're doing like that. At least I don't believe that is. If I'm wrong, correct me again. I'm not beyond being corrected, but when I heard DJ Michael Trans say that you can record 2 hours of a DJ set in mixdown mode and bypass bogging down the RAM, that's the way I understood it. So when I talk about the hard drive in the sequencing mode, all I'm comparing it to is that the MV8000's MIDI sequencer and phrase sequencer is sitting right next to or right alongside 8 tracks of audio that you use like you used to use the Roland VS880 or 2480 or those different hard disks, because it has the same mastering suite and the same plugins that use all the effects are straight from, like the boss and the pedal, the guitar pedal is straight from the ME30 Cosm effects that they had installed inside those VS880 and those VS hard disk recorders. The technology is right inside your MV, right alongside that. So that is to clear that part up, right? The redundancy that happen when you speak Rolandese. Once again, this is not directly related to the sequencing, but kind of, sort of. So let me explain, right? I got a sequence in here that's straight from the SP. I'm really hard on the MV1 Verse Lab when it comes to sampling, so it just does not feel like a Roland sampler. And I guess with something so portable, you would think that it would be more SP-like, but it's not, and that's just one of them things. But I was able to get a sample in here from my MV and a whole kit that is chopped up just like I would in either of these. So this goes to my sample me thing. Like when I say learn to play a little bit, enough to sample yourself. Well, this is an electric piano that's straight from either here or it's from the Integra set here. Me looping myself. Right? Move on. All right. Progress again. I got a phrase. This is all something that was in my ESP, and it's still in my ESP. But just to prove a point, this is very capable sampler. Now, the way you would have to go forward from here in here is a little bit different than what you would expect, right? You would basically want to take these pieces and put them in a looper track, play them to and make a loop with it, and then make a loop into the looper track the way this is broken down. So it means you would have to resample yourself. Once again, sampling yourself again, and then make a loop of it and just use it as an audio wave file where it's time stretchable. We'll get into doing that, but that's just to show this is a very capable sampler. It's not an SP404. It's not meant to be. You know what I mean? But you can get some good stuff in here, and just like every MV, it sounds good. You're never going to say the MV sounds bad. That's just not going to happen. Can't say that for every other 16 padded box, right? So going in this direction, this has a sequence that I actually created over here. So let me see here. Okay, so it's just a sequence, but the difference is I can mute instruments in here. So the 808 is muted right now until I get to this part. Once again, all come from the MV. Verse Lab, that is. Add a little bit from the SP, a little scratch, a little audio sample. Then what I did was I took this same loop and stripped it down to that bell instrument and put a delay on the input of the SP and came up with this. Same loop with the exact same tempo, just has a delay on the first part that bleeds over into and makes the loop sound totally different. Then I got drum sets inside the SP, and you just, all this possible because of the loop capture feature on the SP555 and how clean this sounds going into here. So now I got once again, you got about 4 or 5 parts where you could start to make a song. You gotta have your chops down, man, and that's not even a question. And this is why you don't start to rely on pre-made samples and stuff, because you'll never get stuff that's really just you. You know what I mean? You want to have a piece of this guy and a piece of that guy, and 10,000 other people got a piece of that. So why would you want to sample any other way than by feel sampling yourself? But nothing you've heard is going to get me sued. You know what I mean? And it's all from here, right? So that's that. Now, when it comes to being chopped, so now let's say I did want to sample. Check out raw chops again. What do you? I'm gonna tell you what I heard afterwards. So here are these unrelated. These are related samples. They're from the same album. I don't think they're from the same song, but some of you guys may recognize some of the stuff. This is just me going nuts, but you don't know what I heard, right? All these are chopped a certain way for a certain reason. All right? Certain long, some are short. So all those samples, and what I really heard when I heard that record is I heard. And there you go. All kinds of pieces to loop and to get wrapped on into whatever. I mean, so sample me and sampling yourself is just a no-brainer, especially when you got these pieces of gear. And I only highlight all three of them because this one gets a bad rap sampling. Even for myself, I don't like it as much as a sampler, but it do work, man. It do work. Now this is just me on the Phantom. So you get the point. Now on the MV, the only difference is that those tracks can be made into anything. So you can't see the screen, but when I hit this, I go to pads, I do this right here, man. You can make this into almost anything. You could take this, let me see if I took my mouse and highlighted this. Okay, I got an option to copy and paste this anywhere, quantize it as a loop, change the velocity, change the duration, transpose it, because it's a MIDI signal, right? Copy as a MIDI clip, paste as a MIDI clip, copy it as a pattern, just this one movement, I could do and paste that pattern, which means if I were to hit, have that lit up and hit, go to the, once again, we're talking, there's an audio phrase sampler right next to this. So I could easily make this a pattern or an audio phrase, either one. That's why I got that mixed up. So let me give you a raise. So if I go to the pattern track here, it'll give me and hit shift and record. It gives me a little screen here that says step time. And I have in the pattern track, I have the option to use the measures or the pattern. But if I bounce out of there and bounce one track above that, I'm back into the 8 tracks of audio that you have. And I'll hit shift and record again. And it'll give me the same dialog box, but instead of having the measure and the pattern, the step time will be phrase, measures, and then the ticks, right? And the resolution and all that good stuff. But it's the same kind of thing. It's just that one is more of the patterns like the MPC style sequencer, and the audio phrase. Once you start looping audio phrases within the 8 tracks of audio you get, you're using more of an audio phrase recorder, which Roland is pretty well known for. They're not the most popular thing, but the pattern recorder or pattern sequencer in the SP is nothing more than a MIDI-based audio phrase sampler. It has quantize in it and everything, and the same thing goes for here.